Welcome to the Vibrant You Health Show with your host, Blake Bars. At Nature's Pantry, our mission is to lead you to vibrant health through the best nutrition, supplementation, service, expertise, and healthy choices. In this show, we aren't interested in fads or quick fixes. Rather, we want to get into the holistic fundamentals of health. We want to answer questions like, what are the underlying causes to health issues, and what solutions can help lead us to vibrant health? You can watch every episode and listen to the podcast by visiting our website at naturespantry.life. The Vibrant You Health Show is brought to you by Terry Naturally Vitamins and Solar Ray Vitamins. At Nature's Pantry, we strive to work only with companies that maintain the highest standards for quality and efficacy. Terry Naturally and Solar Ray are two of the absolute best.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody to episode 48 of the Vibrant You Health Show, and I am so amazed and humbled by my special guests today, health pros Tim James, Nicole Haggerty, Summer Steele, Lasa Baxter, and Justin Hernandez. Thank you guys so much for being with me. This is just going to be a fun show. I'm looking forward to diving into some really cool topics. But first, I wanted you guys to just introduce yourselves. We're going to go into some important questions about health, diet, lifestyle, chronic disease. But for those of you that don't know, this is part of actually the Vibrant You Health Challenge. And so how's the health challenge going for you guys out there in the audience? Pretty good? Well, we have probably about 70 people or more who are actually actively keeping their points, and we have some really good folks who are doing amazing. I'm just about to score 500 bonus points because I'm about to finish a book, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I was like, I am finishing this book and getting these points, but it's been a really good challenge, and you guys have been doing amazing. So keep up the good work. Okay, so I just want to start with introductions. My name's Blake Bars. I'm the owner-operator of Nature's Pantry, and you can find me here at the store. You can reach me on our website. And, you know, I just really have a passion for helping people with health. I didn't used to, but over the last 10 years, I've really learned a lot working here and working with customers and working with these guys. And it's really turned my life around, and so I'm excited to kind of get share some of that stuff with you guys through the challenge, through the store, through these panels. So, Tim, why don't you tell me your name, which is Tim, and what you do and how people can find you.
Tim James, founder of chemicalfreebody.com. We are a doctor-formulated detox and nutrition line. We pride ourselves in high-quality ingredients that actually work. And I'm a self-made health advisor. I have now, it's kind of funny because I have doctors and nurses as coaches that help on my team, which is kind of cool. And I really like coaching doctors and nurses. No, I'm just kidding. But I do. And it's a lot of fun. And I have a show called The Health Hero Show that'll be soon changed to The Tim James Show. And I'm all about giving back to the local community and helping people improve their gut health, their spiritual health, get rid of pain, just become a light for yourself and your family and feel good. That's it.
Thanks, Tim.
Nicole Haggerty, holistic health and fitness coach.
You got to really, don't be scared. The mic won't bite you.
Nicole Haggerty, holistic health and fitness coach. I started holistic health and fitness because of my own healing journey. And you can find me here in the store, but also at NicoleHaggerty.com and also at Peak Lifestyle Studio.
Thanks, Nicole.
All right, Summer Steele. My company is Body. I gotta
Yeah, you really got to get in there.
eat the mic.
Yeah.
Okay. Body Seorsa is my company. Seorsa is Gaelic for freedom, and most of what I do has to do with getting people moving and feeling better, having their health in such a place that they're free to live the life they want. Been a fitness personal trainer for 20 years, and I do massage therapy, and I'm also a certified in fitness nutrition.
Thank you, Summer.
Thanks for having us, Blake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Lasa Baxter. I'm a holistic nutritionist and lifestyle coach and personal trainer. I work predominantly focusing on root cause to heal through whole foods and movement and connection and time outdoors. A lot of focus on the gut microbiome and on blood sugar regulation, things like that. My company is Wild Holistic Nutrition and Fitness. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Sorry. Scream at it. Yeah. And I think that's about it. I also work part-time for Mountain Valley Fitness and Health as a personal trainer, but I will hand this next over to Justin.
Hi, so I'm Justin Hernandez, certified personal trainer. Been working in the industry since I was about 16 years old. So I am now 33, so you guys can do the math. This isn't working very well, so I'm just going to talk.
I'm just going to turn the gate off so that it will pick you up, because the mic will be really important for the video.
Okay. Is that better? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll start over. So I'm Justin Hernandez. I have a business called Justin Hernandez Sports Performance Training, and I've been personal training. Well, I worked in the fitness industry since I was 16 years, been a certified personal trainer since I graduated college in 2015. I specialize in sports performance training. Primarily, I like to work with young middle school and high school athletes. And, I was kind of drawn to this profession because of what strength and conditioning did for me, and where it got me to play at a high level, at the Division I level, coming from a very small Native American reservation, Lapwai, Idaho, and what that gave to me. So that opened the door to study exercise science and health. But with that came, learning how to optimize the body. And, the last few years, especially, through the pandemic that we just went through, it kind of really opened my eyes that, we need to take care of our bodies, and it's not just about lifting weights, but putting the right nutrients in our body, rest, and some of the stuff that we'll get to here in a minute. But that's who I am, and that's what I do, and that's why I do this.
Thank you, guys. All right, so we get going on this. The gates have been lifted off the mic, so it is party time. No holding back now. I know you guys don't hold back because you've told me straight up many times. So if you are easily offended, this might be a good time to tune out. All right, so we had a few questions. So this one, I'm gonna ask this to Lasa and Summer, but once they answer it, I'm gonna let the other health pros kind of chime in if they have things to add, and we'll just go in order after they answer this. But Lasa and Summer, in a few words, what are the main things wrecking our health in this country?
Summer and I kind of conferred a little bit before, and we were looking at each other's notes, and they were the same-ish.
It's true.
Okay, I'm going to literally read a little bit from my notes, so I apologize. I'm not going to completely speak this out. Stress, which can come in a zillion forms, including overstimulation, highly processed foods, a high consumption of highly processed foods, void of nutrients, full of starch, sugars, preservatives, exposure to pesticides, herbicides. All of these things, and there are many more, but they're causing systemic inflammation, which can lead to all sorts of things from obesity, chronic high blood sugar, microbiome imbalances, infections, compromised immunity, mental health issues. It really affects every single chemical exchange that happens in the human body. And I think examples of this would be just lack of whole organic foods that include like healthful proteins, colorful nutrient dense fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, that kind of thing. Lack of personal connection. with others, with nature, with animals, just in general, like living less as a part of this world and interacting with it and being a part of it and contributing, and more as a pawn or component, I don't know, that's living outside of it. I'll let you go, Summer.
Well, Lasa stole mine. No, we actually created our notes completely separately, but we had a lot of similarities. The overarching assault on people's health, I would say, is inflammation. But then where does the inflammation come from? So number one is stress, our lifestyle. I don't think that's a whole talk in and of itself, but everything from your work following you around in the form of a cell phone to relationship issues, all sorts of things. Stress just exists everywhere we turn. And when we don't take steps to mitigate it, it just can eat you alive. We have a culture that is very inactive. So that's a whole separate podcast or talk in and of itself. But I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that Americans are not that active as a whole. And it's killing us. So there you go. I would say processed grains and sugars, which Lasa probably will get into more later, so I won't. But all that spiking of the blood sugar and crashing leads to a lot of inflammation, and that also can erode away your mental health. And then I would say kind of underlying all of that is that we also live in a culture of quick fixes versus what is the foundational problem. And so a lot of times when you're talking to people, they refuse to acknowledge things that have been eating away at the foundation of their health for years, albeit trauma, sleep issues. We, as a lifestyle of stress, we have a lot of like shallow breathing. All of those things, yes, take a deep breath. All of those things can lead to, no matter how many pills you pop, no matter how many vitamins you take, you're basically just kind of plugging one hole in your bucket while another hole pops up. So I would say having the patience to play detective with your own health and backing up and asking, why don't I feel good? And being willing to do some hard work and long, it's not an overnight process. A lot of times you didn't come to this level of feeling poorly in a weekend. You came here over the course of decades, so it's not going to resolve in a weekend either. So I'll stop there.
I'd like to add something too. So being that we're all fitness trainers, I think we're going to have this in common. Muscle also plays a role. I'm learning a lot lately about our skeletal system and how actually muscle wasting as we get older can cause lots of problems. But if we have lots of inflammation and other chronic diseases, strength training is amazing. And not many people are doing it. So I feel like the lack of strength training and movement is also contributing to our disease as a country and a society too.
Amen.
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 Amen. I was like, we all concur. Yes.
I'm going to save it for my portion. I'll say that. Yep.
Probably the overall umbrella is that people are not making their health a priority. That's the number one. Once you start making your health a priority, you'll figure it out. You'll bump into the right people eventually. And then beyond that umbrella, I would say stress. It's destroying us internally. Emotional stress, physical stress, trauma. We are completely polluted. The umbilical cord studies are showing that every child being born has cancer-causing chemicals in the womb and other chemicals that cause developmental and brain disorders. So we're polluted with pesticides and fungicides and herbicides and larvicides and chemical fertilizers and EMFs and toxic people. And people at careers that they don't like. 74% of us are working at jobs we don't like. All this is not good. And then we're deficient in nutrients. The skin of the earth has been raped. In 1964, there was 2,000 pounds of beneficial bacterium in the soil. 2004, 1 acre of soil was tested again. It had 100 pounds of these beneficial bacteria, and some of those were genetically modified. But it's not just the nutrients in the soil. You guys, somebody mentioned it over there. It's it's being around people that love on you and support you and lift you up. Being a part of a tribe and a village is very important. We're bred like this because by ourselves in nature, we would probably perish. We don't really have big fangs and don't run real fast. So for the whole time we were growing and living on this planet, evolving, we were very, very tribal. So nutrients come in the form of good bacterium coming into the body, good nutrition, having good people in your life, and pets, and that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I really agree with everything you guys said. And I think that if I was going to really, really simplify it down, I would just say, number one, we are under-nutrified and we are over-toxified. And so our bodies are starving for nutrients and overloaded with toxins. And if you can begin to add nutrients and remove toxins, that simple principle there can lead you a long ways. And live the thing. Your world that you live in is not set up for you to succeed at that. We live in a world today where we have more calories available to us than any civilization on the face of that's ever existed on the face of the planet. But we are starving for nutrients. The food we have is completely void of nutrients, but we're getting more calories than we can ever have. We are getting more toxins and artificial ingredients and things coming at us from all directions, from the air we breathe, to the water we drink, to the food we eat, to the clothes we wear, to the EMFs, just like there's so many unnatural things. You know, you guys were talking about, we're in a world of fast food and quick fixes. But if you look at nature and you look at the world God created, food is slower, right? Like it takes time to hunt something and harvest it. It takes time to grow a garden. If you have a health issue, it takes time for the body to heal, right? If you go to the doctor because you broke your arm, what does the doctor do to help your arm heal? Does he make the arm heal? No, he just puts it in a cast and you rest it. And your body literally heals itself, but it takes time, right? And what I love about all the problems we face today in our world, because there's a lot of them, and it can get overwhelming in the amount of toxins and stuff. But here's the thing: the solutions, all the solutions to all the problems we face, God has already provided those solutions. They're already available. And if you look at some of the plants and what some of these plant medicines are, how sophisticated they are, and like herbal antibiotics, how they actually target specific bad bacteria and not kill good bacteria, compared to like antibiotics that just wipe out everything. Like the plants are more sophisticated than the pharmaceuticals when we really start to learn about them and learn how to use them. So the solutions are there for us. It's just that the information isn't being given to us, right? Because there's not very much profit to be made, right? Like one of the biggest problems facing our country and the reasons for our bad health is because we've allowed in our country power and money to dictate everything to us. And as soon as we stop buying that crap, as soon as we start buying the story we're being told and start writing our own narrative, is when things start to change. Okay, going to the next question. This is for myself and Nicole. What is your ideal diet and why? Nicole, let's start with you.
So I don't like the word diet, and I don't like to yuck others' yums either. I feel like bioindividuality plays a big key. I think as long as we're eating clean, whole, alive foods mostly, and whatever proteins we want, whether it's animal or plant, that we can thrive. But just to note, for me, I went vegan for a long time because of health reasons. And now I'm eating animal products again because of health reasons. So diet is not a word I necessarily like. I would say more of a lifestyle. So my approach is definitely more just plant-based, whole, alive foods, lots and lots of vegetables, because that's how I feel good when I eat. And then, of course, whole grains and things. I would stay away from wheat, even if you're eating organic, just because it's been messed with so much. Dairy can be controversial too. You want to do grass-fed, pasture-raised, that sort of thing to avoid hormones. You want to do wild game, free-range, organic, that sort of thing, again, to get rid of chemicals and hormones that they pump full of or pump into the, I almost said wildlife, but you know what I'm saying, the farm animals, not the wildlife.
The wildlife is eating crops sprayed with pesticides.
Yes, exactly. So, yes, wild food if you can. Wild huckleberries grow in our mountains. There's tons of things we can get from our farmers market that are grown locally and organic here. You can go to Nella's or Platt's and find tons of plants to accompany whatever protein you like. But the emphasis is just as much whole, alive foods as possible, eating as close to nature as nature intended. And I really love Hippocrates' approach, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. But I also do believe that we should be literally loading our bodies with nutrient-dense foods, because what you were touching on earlier, we have so many options today in packages and boxes and cans and frozen things. And that's part of the problem, is there is too many options and people get confused and we don't know what to eat because it's kind of overwhelming. So I just say, if you know it makes you feel good, eat it. If you know that it doesn't, then stay away from it. And if you need help, any one of us can help you with your nutrition needs. If you have something going on, definitely you want to see somebody more like Lasa, who is a holistic nutritionist. If you don't have disease, you can get with somebody like me who can just get you switched over to a more whole, alive, plant-based eating style. But again, bio-individuality, everyone is different, and just focus on the real foods.
Yeah, I was thinking the Hippocrates quote about food be thy medicine, and I was thinking of another one that is, if diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. And if diet is right, medicine is of no need. And so, and like Nicole was saying, your diet, whatever, like, I understand you don't like that word, but at the same time, it's just like we're saying, what do you eat, right? So that is different for everybody. Everybody is different, and we got to figure out what that is, what's best for us individually. But I think there are some common denominators. You know, I've seen people go completely vegan and do really well. I've seen people go completely keto and do really well. I've seen people go vegan and eat a bunch of crap. I've seen people go keto and eat a bunch of crap. I've seen, you know, whole food, plant-based, Mediterranean, and people get results. I do think there's certain times when you're trying to heal, doing a more plant-based and avoiding animal products can be really beneficial, because animal products take a lot of energy to digest and process. So if you're trying to heal from certain situations, I think that can be beneficial. But I think at the end of the day, for me, here's the thing, like, I think we were designed to be able to survive in many diverse environments. I think we were designed to be able to adapt, to be able to live on whale blubber for a period, to live on just berries for a period. I think your body is remarkably adaptive and capable to live in some extreme circumstances when it has to. I think when you get into some long-term situations, you're going to end up with if you ate whale blubber for a long period of time, your actual genes and your body will actually change to adapt to accompany that type of situation. Or, you know, if you're eating berries for a long term. But also, I think there is some long-term deficiencies that you're going to run into. I think people who are just vegan for a long, long time run into some deficiencies. And people that are keto for a long, long time run into some deficiencies with complex carbohydrates. On the other hand, might be deficient in B12 and iron, for example.
Oh, I was going to add too, and vegan is great. It really is, and for health reasons. But part of the problem with a diet like that is it's very carb focused because you're not eating any animal protein. So you really have to balance that out, because you can end up eating too many carbohydrates, even though they're good carbohydrates, and messing with your blood sugar and spiking it up and down, causing all kinds of hormone symptoms.
I think we should give Blake a round of applause because I think he's invented a new diet: blubber and berries. Just a thought.
Yes. Follow the next health challenge for more details.
I'll be sticking to the berries.
So,
Blake bars, blubber berries.
so here's the thing. Like, I think that for me, the guiding principle is this. And for me personally, like, is this a real food that God put on the planet for people to eat? Or is it a food that has been completely manipulated and perverted by man, and that's causing all kinds of health problems for people? That's kind of like the guiding principle for me when it gets really confusing, because people are telling you all this information like, oh yeah, eat this and don't eat this. And oh my gosh, now you can't eat tomatoes because they've got something in their skins that's terrible for you. And, it's like, what was the one? Somebody was telling me certain root vegetables pull up like arsenic from the soil, and they're way more arsenic in them. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, come on. Like, what was the book you were telling me? It's Everything is Bad for You. Like, we can get a little carried away here. So for me, it's kind of like, is this a real food that is naturally occurring on planet Earth, or is it something that's been processed and added to with artificial ingredients? And so that guiding principle really helps me to weed through all the crap, because really the diet and drug industry does really well when we're confused and when we're bouncing to one trend to the other. But if you can have some principle, a guiding principle that kind of cuts through the BS, that can really help. So, and I think we would all agree here at the table that whatever diet you feel is right for you, if you focus on real whole foods and cut out processed, SHIT, you're going to be way better off.
Yeah. Say something?
Please.
I think, well, when you mentioned all the different diets and they can be effective at different times, right? Well, the common thread tends to be that you're taking out the BS. And so, of course, to some degree, everything's going to be effective at some point. And if we begin with whole foods and look at starting to strip out the overstimulation, the stress, the 3 screens I have at my computer at my office, plus the overhead, fluorescent lights and my cell phone and whatever else is happening in there, and start listening to our bodies and becoming intuitive, we kind of know what we need and don't need. But I wanted to say this on the point of one of the first questions, Nicole brought up muscle. And for those that are in this physical audience that are probably 30 to and up.
I should have guessed.
Okay. They're no longer the 12 to 18-year-olds that Justin's working with that can look at chicken and remodel muscle in a millisecond. And when we talk about chicken has a very low protein density and doesn't have the greatest quantity of nutrients there. But when you're talking about some of these things in health, and you do need to have, if there's specific health issues or there are things that you're really working on, like you're wanting to build muscle in order to age in reverse, so to speak. You want to slow down aging. Then you need to have 2,500 to 3,000 milligrams of leucine alone, which is a branched chain amino acid, just to remodel that when you're 40 and above, like me. So you have to really pay attention to the type of protein, not just the cleanliness of it, and it needs to be clean, but the type of protein and what the quality of the nutrients are.
Your goals are really going to dictate what types of foods you're gonna. That's a really good point. Okay, so we're going to keep moving on for time here, but Summer and Justin, tell us what you do to boost your immune system.
You want to start?
Yeah, this one could be kind of long-winded. I think there's a lot of similarities that we're all talking about. And I'm going to talk about the pillars of health really quick. So we got the mental, intellectual, emotional, social, spiritual. And so when it comes to like the physical exercise, good stress, building muscle, and there's a lot of data out there that would suggest that muscle contractions are a good thing. Strength training is a good thing. The movement of muscles is a very good thing. So when it comes specifically to the immune system, having that physical wellness and the strength training, but muscle contractions release signaling proteins that are called cytokines. And what they do is they directly find and fight illness in the body. And that's one correlation that just strength training has to boosting our immune system and fighting illness. Now, when we go down the other pillars of health, we have, mental. So the state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with stresses of life. We can all agree that we have multiple stresses every single day. Some of us more than others, some of us less. However, being able to cope with those is a skill. And being able to reduce our stress, which we've kind of talked about, and it's kind of been a common thread up here, is a skill. And it's also going to reduce inflammation in the body, our immune system. We're going to have better responses. We're going to be able to bounce back from illnesses a little bit better. Intellectual health, recognize creative abilities and encourage us to find ways to expand our knowledge and skills. Like, I think it's fair to say that we all agree, like learning something new or reading a new book on leadership or mindset, some stuff that I nerd out on, or, some new studies on muscle stimulation tests and contraction rates, which correlates to what I do. That makes me feel good. And that also, one, reduces stress, makes our body more resilient. And, emotional, we're building resilience. And I think when it comes to emotional, like learning how to cope with loss is a very important skill, speaking from experience. And that is a huge stress. And I've seen it so often. And as I get older, I see it more and more and more, is that we have a loss in the family. And that, people dwell on it. And I did at one point. And that is so toxic for our body. Like, cortisol levels go through the roof. Cortisol is bad for the body, destroys the immune system, destroys muscular systems and a few other systems. But learning how to cope with that and just having good emotional wellness is huge. Social relationships, we've all talked about our tribe up here. And I think it's very important, the cliche of, you are the average of the 5 you surround yourself with. I've had a bad 5 in my group I surround myself with, and I didn't go anywhere really fast and actually lost a Division I scholarship because of it. And then as I got older and wiser, I started surrounding myself with, people at this table and some other people in the community, and they make me want to be better. And I think that is a very huge part in understanding who you are and contributing to your health and wellness, is surround yourself with people who make you better. Spiritual, just having personal values and beliefs and acting compassionately in accordance with those values, I think is huge. I think we see, in society today on, these super handheld computers, we're always scrolling and reading stuff. And if we don't have any values, we're kind of just grabbing onto things here and there, and we're not really knowing what direction we're going. But I think having those core values and having a rock to stand on is huge. So you take all of this nonsense that I just talked about, and I think that is the equation for a healthy immune system. If you stack it all together and you're investing all of these different components into who you are as a person, the way that the body responds to stress and reducing stress, I think that ultimately is going to yield a good immune system. And obviously nutrition is a thing. I don't want to open that door, but we got to eat good. We just kind of talked about it. We got to eat nutrient dense foods. We got to know what our body needs. We got to know what it wants. And, Blake had a great quote. I don't want to bastardize it, but supplements were designed to supplement proper nutrition. If we're deficient in something, then it's let's supplement with this. It doesn't mean that we can go and, eat McDonald's and then Starbucks in between that. And then we go to the sub shop and then it's, a Monster. And then it's I'm taking supplements. I'm fine. They're not designed. They're meant to supplement the deficiencies of the body and fill those micronutrient gaps. So you add supplementation with all of this, I think will yield a healthy immune system. And that's how I balance my life and with working in the high school. And I'm sure you can imagine how clean those kids are. But I've never been sick so often the last like year and a half. But now I'm bouncing back. My immune system's getting built up. We got a new baby in the house. So once he goes to school again, I'm sure it'll get challenged. But that's what works for me. And I stick to that. I don't believe there isn't a healthy diet, right? I think you got to add all these components together to develop and build your immune system. And that's all I got.
Thanks, Justin. Summer?
All right. So I thought I would start with what to do when I'm sick instead, which is lots of NyQuil and caffeine.
Yeah.
No, that's dumb. Please don't do that.
I was like, Summer, are you serious?
So to be honest, that's how I got through college.
Organic NyQuil.
Yes, thank you. Organic NyQuil. No, that's what I did in college, and it wrecked me. And so I've had to rebuild slowly with some smarter choices. Years ago, I went to a health clinic. I was very sick. I just got back from a trip and gotten bitten by some random bug. Never did see what it was, but basically this nurse practitioner was trying to encourage me to get sleep. And she's like, I don't care what you do. I mean, just drink till you pass out. Just get sleep. And then she paused. She goes, don't do that. What? But her point, and I think that it's really important, is if you're not getting good sleep, your immune system does not have a chance to do its thing. And so a lot of times, again, stress, a lot of the stress in our lives, we expect it to turn off like a switch at night. It simply won't, unless you organize the rest of your life in such a way that when it's time to rest, you can really let your body rest and recover. So that's just kind of basic. I know a lot of you guys know that, but when you've got a lot of adulting to do and you're not feeling good, it's actually harder to do than it is to say. On a really basic level too, again, I'm just thinking about kind of Justin was speaking big picture. And do you hear the feedback? Okay. Okay. Justin was speaking big picture. I'm going to zoom it in a little bit. I baby my adrenals because almost always when my adrenals get ran down and really taxed, I catch whatever my kids bring home next, right? So I like to really overload on the vitamin C. Yeah, there you go. And like, what was it, like 1,000 milligrams every hour, right? Till you don't feel good.
Yeah, just go to bowel tolerance. You'll figure it out.
Real fast.
When the bathroom happens, you know you've reached your tolerance. But yeah, like every hour I try to take some.
Yeah, when I had COVID, I took 10,000 milligrams 3 times a day. And that didn't help as much as 2,000 milligrams every hour. And that's when I really started to, because it's water soluble. So the more often, goats will make their own vitamin C up to 100,000 milligrams per stress incident.
Goats?
So,
Why do we know this?
Summer, don't ask questions that you're not prepared for the answer for.
I am really curious now. Okay, vitamin C. Moving on. Talk to Blake about dosage.
Yeah.
But I usually take 500 to 1,000 every hour until my body says you should stop.
Andrew Saul says, take enough C until you're symptom free, no matter what the amount might be.
Oh, okay. The other one, again, if I'm thinking adrenals, right, is magnesium. And a lot of times, like 400 milligrams in the evening. My favorite form is glycinate, but there's a lot of really great forms out there. Magnesium in the evenings to help with your sleep cycle, but then also your adrenals love it. And usually 400 is just, you should have more than that, especially if you're really ran down and depleted. Methylated B vitamins, which Terry naturally makes a multi with some good methylated Bs in it, specifically like B12 and then methylfolate. Those are really nice for supporting your body when it's under stress. Then a nice greens mix. Shout out to Tim. He has a nice greens that I actually have right now in my kitchen.
Green 85.
What is it?
Green 85.
Green 85.
chemicalfreebody.com, or just go to Nature's Pantry.
That's right. Yeah, downstairs. So the greens, I start basically in the morning and I just sip on them all day long. And then electrolytes. And sometimes I'll put my electrolytes in with my greens, which is not always delicious, but I deal with it. Black seed oil is really nice for helping your body fight off viral infections. And then, there's a whole nother list, but those are kind of the top ones that I hit. And if you're not hitting those, those are generally a place to start because they're not cost prohibitive. Like a lot of them you can get, for a pretty reasonable amount. Mm-hmm. And then I really comb over my diet, make sure I don't have any allergens or sugar in there. What she said about wheat and dairy, I'm very strict on that when I'm sick. And then also I don't do any processed sugar. And then one thing I'll add to that is...
Yeah, definitely avoid sugar like the plague. Like normally I do, but even when you're sick, especially, it'll completely destroy your immune system.
So have you noticed, maybe you guys have done this before, you'll be feeling kind of tired and run down, maybe your throat will be a little scratchy, but you're okay. And then you go ahead and have the last of your kids' Skittles or something. And yeah, literally within a few hours, my sinuses will start going crazy. I'll start feeling a little feverish. Mm-hmm. It's literally within hours. By the end of the day, you can tell what you've done to yourself.
Yeah, so as we're going into winter, let's have a holiday called Halloween with candy out the wazoo. Yeah. Then Thanksgiving with pies. And then
think about this between what you said. So what you're saying about the vitamin C and what you're saying about sugar. And they both have the same chemical pathway and attachment for your white blood cells, for immunity. So if you're putting in sugar, the preference actually is for glucose over vitamin C. So the glucose will attach first to there's like a landing pad, essentially, that's like a lock and key. And glucose is going to attach first before the vitamin C. So if you put glucose in, vitamin C is kind of it's not helping. So you've got to eliminate the sugar with the C.
Right. So your body can actually utilize it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the only other thing I would add to that is, if you're not feeling so terrible, it's still great to get out and move. Do something that forces you to breathe a little bit, force some circulation. Even just some deep breathing, if you want to get out and walk for 5 minutes, or it all sounds so trite. When you feel like garbage, the last thing you want to do is get up and go walk or do a bit of Pilates or go to the gym and do a light bit of workout. But really, it's amazing. I can't stress enough how good it is to kind of, promote the circulation, promote the deep breathing with some movement. That's a whole nother talk you could give, right? You could spend all day on the immune system, but I'll stop there.
Thank you, Summer. A lot of great info there. Yeah, and there's lots more. It's hard to keep that in a nutshell for sure.
Hey, it's Nicole Haggerty, your holistic health and fitness coach. If you want to improve your health and life and get lasting results, you have to be the change you want to see. Let me help you be that change. Find me at NicoleHaggerty.com.
Hey, Eastern Oregon. My name is Justin Hernandez. I specialize in sports performance training for middle school, high school, and college athletes. My program goal is to optimize an athlete's potential on all playing surfaces. The Breakfast Club motto is creating elite athletes, but even better leaders.
This is Summer Steele of Body Say Ursa. I am a licensed massage therapist and certified personal trainer. I work with bodies of all shapes, sizes, and abilities to help them live a fuller and freer life. Connect with me on Instagram and Facebook under Body Say Ursa, Body SAORSA, or contact me at 541-786-5245.
My name is Blake Bars, and I'm General Manager of Nature's Pantry here in La Grande. I had a terribly unhealthy lifestyle when I started working here. I just didn't know how simple and powerful healthy habits could be. Now I love being able to lead others to vibrant health here at the store, through the health show, and in the health challenges we host twice per year. Learn more at naturespantry.life.
Hey friends, Lasa here with Wild Holistic Nutrition and Fitness. As a certified personal trainer and holistic nutritionist with 17 years of experience, I'm passionate about guiding others in their journey to wellness. I work in the areas of sports performance, group and individual fitness, personal training, behavioral and nutritional coaching, and gut biodome health and assessment. I'd love to help you feel good so that you can thrive and meet the purpose you were made for.
Tim James here, founder of chemicalfreebody.com and host of the Health Heroes Show. After regaining my own health and having massive gut issues and surgery, I'm on a mission to help others do the same. If you're ready to make your health a priority, lose that weight, increase your energy, and just wake up and feel good, you can reach me at chemicalfreebody.com.
Okay, my next question is for Tim and Nicole. Will you guys just talk about detoxing and how, like, the steps toward like healing from chronic illness? And I know like every illness is different, but like just like a 10,000 foot view of like what are some important steps to like go through on your healing journey for, you know, because there's some similarities from pretty much any chronic illness that you want to take, right? So could you guys kind of talk about maybe where you would start and then maybe progress through? And whoever wants to start.
Well, for someone who was really bad, I would suggest obviously they get their doctor's permission to work with me, because sometimes, you know, things can come up and people can get really sick when they're detoxing, and it can be scary. So one of the things, though, that I love are superfoods, and I became a detox specialist through Purium Health Products. We actually sell some of the Purium in the store, and it is lots of green drinks. So my approach is very much flooding the body with superfoods because everyone's bodies are so toxic. And the idea is you want to flood your body with superfoods so that while you're detoxing, you have lots of nutrients in there to help you out while you're getting rid of the nasty stuff, because you can literally get rid of toxins from when you were a child today. Things get stored in our body. Our body puts them wherever it can to keep us alive. And these things can come out later in life, because what happens is we get toxins coming in. We eat all of these things to keep the toxins in our body. And then when we're sleeping, our body's trying to detox. It's doing such a good job, but it just can't keep up because we're overloaded. So when we wake up and we eat sugar or fatty things or, you know, frankenfoods, our body has to stop what it's doing and then, you know, the detoxing that it was doing from the night before, and then take on what's coming at it. And that's happening every single day if you think about it. So really, we're not getting rid of toxins like we should. Our bodies do need help to get rid of them today. And the great thing is the body has its own detoxification process. And if we just give it the right tools, it can work for us and with us. So that's why I would suggest definitely for someone who is having lots of symptoms, they need some kind of cleanse. But if you're really sick and you've never done a cleanse before, you definitely want to start with something like the 7-day reset. Alkalize, nutrify, get all of those good nutrients in your body, then do things like a green drink fast or a water fast or juice fast. But obviously the juice should be something like celery juice, leafy greens. You want to stay away from all of those sugars, even from the fruits when you're really detoxing, because even the sugar from the fruit can exacerbate symptoms if you have things going on. So I would suggest definitely considering doing at least a 30-day program where you're doing at least 2 green drinks a day. You're eating clean, like the 7-day reset, whole, alive, plant-based foods, staying away from animal products if you have a lot of stuff going on, and sauna, which I'm sure you would already recommend, hydration, sleep, of course, because if we're not sleeping, we're not going to be able to repair and detox like we should. And then, of course, drinking lots of water, herbal tea, that sort of thing. But really, it's a whole picture. So we can put the foods in, we can sauna, we can do all of this stuff. But if we're not looking at our whole lifestyle, it's not going to help us very much, like a lot of us were touching on. So you really do have to detox not just your body, but your environment and your mind as well. So,
well, that was pretty good, Nicole. Good job. So as far as detox goes, Nicole touched on a lot of really important things, and I think there's a spectrum here. You've got people that want to kind of lose some weight, but they're really not committed to it. That's why they have to keep setting those goals every year, New Year's, to lose weight, so that they really haven't made their health a priority. And then you have people that have like full-blown glioblastoma brain tumors, and they really want to live. And there's a spectrum on there. So when it comes to detoxification, what I've learned is you have to meet people where they're at, right? And so when I coach somebody, I ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how much energy do you want me to coach? Do you want me to be very gentle, or do you want me to be a drill sergeant? And I let them kind of tell me. And then how fast are you willing to move through this process? You know, it's like somebody's like losing weight. They're like, I just want to go slow, dude. I don't want to give up my coffee and, you know, and this stuff, or my cigarettes yet. But, you know, I kind of do. But okay, then you've got somebody that's like, I will do whatever it takes to live. I've got kids and I need to live. So lay it on and let's go. And so depending on where you're at, depends on how you're going to start with this detoxification process. We have to look at things like heavy metals. That's where heavy metal testing would be really important. You want to look at parasites and parasite testing. And all these things are, you know, yeast and fungus and mold, right? So all these things are from your immune system being crashed for a long period of time, long-term nutrient deficiencies, long-term toxic buildup and stress. And so one thing that we've talked a lot about is getting stuff out tonight, and we've talked about what to put in. But I think one of the most powerful things that we have is right here. It's called water, and your body's mostly made of it. So it's not so much, and Blake was talking earlier about all these different diets, the Mediterranean diet, the Hollywood diet, the plant-based diet, the meat eaters diet, all these different diets and stuff like that. It's not so much about what we're putting into our body, it's allowing the body to rest. And this is where fasting comes in, okay? Fasting is like probably the most powerful tool that you can do to rev up your immune system. Now, Justin will like this. A 2-day water fast, I'm on day 2. Human growth hormone goes up 2,000% in the human body.
Eat for 2 days.
Right?
It does.
Right? It's quite profound. So if I was to go down and buy human growth hormone for like 1 cc, it's $400. You could create well beyond that just by drinking water. Blake talks about Jesus a lot, and you know he did 40 days and 40 nights with how many Christians do you know that have done that, or even aspire to that? Right? It's like people lead by example, but people are not following. Right? So there's examples out there that work. So if you want to start fasting, Nicole brought it up. Most people are so nutrient deficient that it's very important to get nutrients flooded into your bodies, because if you take somebody that's overweight and super nutrient deficient and you put them on water unsupervised, their eyes are going to go back into the head. They could have some serious issues. Yeah. If you wanted to go right to the water fasting, you would need to have medical supervised water fasting. There's a clinic, Dr. Alan Goldhammer runs it in, it's called the True North Clinic in Northern California. You would go there and stay there and be supervised for 2 to 3 weeks while you go through this water fast. But barring that, if you're at home and you're not going to be able to get away from a clinic, this is where you might want to start of not eating a heavy breakfast and replacing that with a fresh green juice and just flooding your body with nutrients without the burden of digestion. And then you do that for a while and you kind of get used to it. And then all of a sudden you replace lunch or breakfast and lunch with a green juice.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I want to talk about why the green juice is so important. I have a note here I was going to read because it is so profound. So the reason for the green juice, though, so Dr. Yashua Hodo, he gave human cells 20 to 30 doses of radiation. Then he watched them mutate. Disease, right? Then he bathed them in barley greens juice and watched them repair back to better than they were before. So just barley green juice alone, bathing those radiated cells in it, helped them repair. So that's why the greens are so important when you're detoxing.
Yeah, and whether it's wheatgrass juice or barley green juice or whatever greens, grass is grass is grass. It's the chlorophyll and the phytochemicals that are in there. There's hundreds of thousands of them in there. So again, going on this spectrum of detoxification, we're specifically talking about fasting. So then all of a sudden, maybe one day a week, you do like, I'm going to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just green juice. And I'm not eating heavy foods. I'm going to do juice feasting. And you could actually do 5 green juices during the day. It's like if your blood sugar starts dropping in the beginning, just have another green juice, drink some more water, caffeine-free teas, flaxseed water, these types of things. Flood your body with this. And then now you've worked your way up so that that you can do one day a week with just this liquid nourishment. So what we teach is that get people off of the heavy breakfast and have a feeding time. So you're eating between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. at night. This is one form of fasting. That's one form of fasting. It's very powerful. The second one to build up to is one day a week, all liquids, liquid feasting. And then the third one is then getting into the water fast, which is the most powerful. Well, almost the most powerful. Water fasting. And then you do that for a day, and then you make it. And then 2 days and 3 days. Now, the first 2 days of water fasting are the hardest. And a couple things you can do when you get to that point and you're ready is just taking a little bit of Himalayan salt. Some people throw it in the water, but it makes my water taste not good. So I throw it just in my mouth. And that'll help you. And you can also do magnesium baths, magnesium foot soaks, Epsom salt baths while you're doing these water fasting to kind of help you, if you haven't done it before, kind of stay stable. But once you hit, day 2 and day 3 and day 4 and day 5, amazing things are going to happen. Day 6, day 7, your body's literally going to start destroying cancer cells. It's going to speed up your healing so fast, it's literally going to make your head spin. It's not just a thing to lose weight. And you have to be careful of this because I've had clients that have come to me and they're like, oh, I'm pretty experienced at fasting, but I have a problem with it. I use it when needed and they go back to that junk food diet, right? So it's like, I know I can just fast and repair myself. So then they just go crazy and they're ordering Quiznos and do all this crazy stuff. So it's not so much of what you're putting in. It's just stop it all. Let your body just heal itself. So water fasting. And then there's another level called dry fasting. And that's where you don't eat or drink. And you could try that for a day or 2 or 3. And the body will, 1 day of dry fasting is like almost like 3 days of water fasting.
If your name is Moses, go for it. But if not, be very, very careful.
Yeah. And again, you got to work your way up into this stuff. But now you have a kind of a framework and you can start moving towards this. I'm telling you, like, my mental clarity right now is very acute. I haven't had food
It's
since.
obvious.
Yeah, is it?
It's obvious. I'm knowing you a long time. I was literally, you took the words out of my brain. I was like, Tim is very focused right now. This is incredible.
Yeah.
No, I mean, highly focused.
Right. And on the days, thank you. I'll thank myself because I've been drinking water. And it's such a beautiful thing. Your body's mostly made of it and it's out there. So anyway, fasting, juice feasting, these are things you should work your way up the scale. The timing of the day when you eat, that's a way to fast. The juice feasting one day. And then also, I think just to give you more of the framework is quarterly fasting with water. I forgot to say that. So I would do quarterly fasting where you do at least a 3 to 5 day water fast every quarter. Just massive reboot. And what does that cost? It's going to lower your grocery bill. You're going to feel amazing. You just got to get through day 2. Use the Himalayan salt and the foot soaks and the baths with the magnesium and the Epsom salts. And I think you're going to find out that you've just discovered some of the most powerful medicine on the planet, which is just chilling with some water.
But if you're a woman, fast like a girl, please.
Yeah.
That's a book.
I would agree. It is a book. Well, there's a couple of physicians that really have focused on women's fasting, which is a little bit different than men's fasting just because of the hormonal cycle and the ebb and flow of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. But a couple of things. It's such an incredible healing therapeutic tool to use fasting properly. One, it's not meant to be something that we abuse to restrict food for vanity. And that's something I want to really put out there because there are a lot of young people and young kids that might look at that and use it the wrong way, and I don't want them to do that. It's not meant to cause harm or to make you suffer. It is literally meant to heal. And I think it's important to kind of know the avenues of what's happening and why. I mean, at 14 to 17 hours, your body is cleansing itself and you'll see weight loss things and you'll see lowering of inflammation and whatnot. But at 17 hours, your body goes into autophagy, which means it starts getting rid of cells that are, and the reason that it does that.
Programmed cell death.
Yeah.
So your body will start to get rid of the bad cells. It'll start to self-clean.
But the reason it's doing that actually is because you've given it a rest. So we've talked a lot about food today, but the reason that it's doing that is because you're giving a body a rest from digestion, a rest from food. You're eliminating it for a time so that the body can focus on other things. And so when in the absence of food, it goes in and starts to clean the body and utilize those damaged cells, those cancer cells, things like that, that aren't functioning properly. And it's a tool to cleanse and regenerate, but it actually uses it for food. It actually uses it for fuel. And so, Tim talked about like long extensive fasts, and we can get into that. They produce growth hormone, which is really hard to do when you're 40 and above, well, 35 and above, or above 25. Stem cells, you can actually create stem cell production instead of going and getting thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stem cell injections. You can actually make your own body do that. So under the right guidance, I think it can be incredibly healing and therapeutic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, we're running out of time, but and I want to give time for a couple questions. But I was just going to say that definitely. So none of us are doctors, right? So we're not going to pretend to know you or give you medical advice. And we would always recommend that you work with your doctor in any health protocol that you're going to proceed with. If your doctor knows about nutrition and holistic medicine, even better. But I was just going to say, definitely for me, the steps that I would work with for me or my family is nutrify the body, step one. You want to be nutrified, right? Then we're going to start working on detoxify. And we're going to work on getting poop out efficiently, right? 1 to 3 times a day is, one minimum per day. If things are working well, then we can, once we get the digestive tract cleaned out, and Tim has a really great product for that called Gut Health, or gut detox. And then after you get the gut working, now you go to the liver. And there's several liver cleanses. There's Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Flush book. There's the Hulda Clark Liver Flush, which is basically the same thing. There's several great herbal liver cleanse products, milk thistle, etc. There's ways you can do that. All those things also can be with fasting. But once you go gut, you go liver, then you go after parasites. And you start knocking out the parasites. And by parasites, I mean not just worms, those too, but also pathogenic bacteria like E. coli, yeast, fungus, and most of the things the thing that's cool about fasting, and there's a lot of things you can put in to do these things, but fasting will do all of that too. But then once you then you go to heavy metals. So it's gut, liver, parasites, heavy metals, and then, sleep and repeat. But this is a thing in the world we live today. We got to learn these tactics, and we need to build it into our lifestyle and our routine. Like Tim's talking about having a quarterly plan where we do this, and we're going to be working together to build some programs. We may do some focus challenges where we're okay, this month we're going to focus on the digestive tract, and we're going to get that going really well. Next month, we're going to work on liver, and we're going to do some liver flushes together. Then we're going to go after parasites. And I think working together and come up with some plans and doing some focus challenges, because together we can do these things when we're supporting one another and going through them, and also bringing in some doctors too that can help us. But yeah, so I'm excited about that, and we'll keep you posted. How about questions, or do you guys have anything to add just last minute? Or should we open it up to questions?
Questions?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any? I got my mic runners ready. She is ready to rock. So if you guys have any questions, we can go for it. I know George has probably been writing a list. He's like, I got this list, guys. It's gonna take time. He's like, you're gonna need a separate show for my questions, guys.
Okay. My question is, and I think you've just talked about that, but is the villi in your small intestine, what's the best way to cleanse that? Because I'm doing a lot of fiber psyllium husk from recommendations from my doctor and things like that, which makes a big difference. It helps with LDL. I got tested for macro and micro LDL. Most cholesterol tests do not look at the micro, and so I didn't have micro, which is the one that builds plaque in your arteries and all of that. And so, so I'd done red yeast rice for several years. It had worked, but it kind of had stopped working. And so then, Did
you have high cholesterol?
So I had total score good, high HDL, but high LDL for a long time. But like taking red yeast rice would lower that down. But then it got to the point where that wasn't really working anymore. So then but I got tested for micro LDL, which is the bad one. The macro just passes through you or whatever. So anyways, what we're trying now is a high amount of fiber to take that out of the gut before it can get absorbed. And so we'll see. I got to do a blood draw next week, and I'll get tested for that. But I was thinking about, sorry, this is a long statement question, about, and so, Tim's brought
They're
up.
all just chomping at the bit, so ready.
Anyway, but that's what I was more curious about, because of years and years of bad
diet, lifestyle.
Yeah, but what's the glucose? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have you had your fasting blood glucose checked? Because something I just learned about cholesterol is it has a lot to do with the sugar in our blood.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had a lot of tests. And so all my blood sugar and all that is great, but I have insulin resistance, which we're working on that too. But anyway.
So insulin resistance would indicate that even though your test comes back as an okay fasting A1C, that it's not. So the test isn't, the A1C test would be, if it was high, it would be extremely late stage of disease already with insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, whatever they're going to, when they finally diagnose it. But those high circulating sugars in the blood glycate your cholesterol and essentially cause the A and the B in the LDL. Then for lack of, the audience might not. So you've got you have these little protein peptides that are in there, and they're meant to be big and fat and floaty and that pass through. They help bolster cells. They can pass easily through cell walls. They transport hormones. They're important, actually. But when they get glycated by sugar, they turn into, for lack of a better term, it's like having a beach ball and a tiny little BB. And BBs, when they make impact with cell walls and things, can create damage and create inflammation, and then plaque can lay down, and there's all kinds of things like that. So really making sure you're looking at your blood sugar. Psyllium husk, this is my personal opinion, and guidance would be maybe one of the poorest approaches at fiber.
I agree with
There's a study that showed fiber supplements benefit people with a high fiber diet with lots of fruits and vegetables, but they don't help on people with a low fiber diet.
So one of the things that, for some reason, once fiber has been kind of extricated from its original food and then passed through, the body doesn't utilize it as well, and neither does your microbial colonies, which are a big part of blood sugar regulation is actually bacteria in the microbiome, because they eat it. And they utilize it. So you're not getting all of it, so to speak. And it does help with moving poop through and stool through and things like that. But actually part of it is that it's food for the bacteria that are benefiting you. And so they actually need kind of whole alive types. So cellulose, think about the different types that you would have: pectin in fruits and cellulose and things like celery.
flax and chia seeds.
Yeah. So all kinds of different types, but think more live foods than, I don't know, that's the best way for me.
Well, and the flax and chia too can lubricate the bowels. And a lot of the time the problem is the bowels are dry. So if you're not drinking enough water, getting enough fluids in there, it can be dry, causing that.
So this is a really good example, and I'm glad they brought up chia seeds. So for somebody who's insulin resistant, but also wanting to add fiber, chia seed, in contrast to like where the American Heart Association has always pushed like oats, have oatmeal. I'm like, oatmeal is going to blood sugar spike you into next week, whereas chia seed is going to be high in fiber, high in fat, protein dense. It's going to be a soother, a calmer, as long as it's been, usually soaked is better than dry, because dry for me really is an irritant. But it can be what you use in your oatmeal protein morning thing, if this is and this is different for every person. So if this is your particular need, or that might be a good alternative to use for adding a lot of fiber in and actually make you feel full for a long time and help with blood sugar regulation. And
It has some protein.
Yeah, I got to bounce because of the time. I thought we'd be done by 7:30, but you kind of had me, George, at intestinal villi. I was pretty excited about that comment. So I want to get back to that. We've specifically designed a product. Well, we didn't design that one. That's an ancient product it's called, like Blake mentioned it, called Gut Detox. That's designed specifically to go in and cleanse those intestinal villi without disrupting your gut microbiome at all. So I'd start there. If you were taking red yeast rice for cholesterol, I'd maybe check out and see if you have a B vitamin deficiencies. Mm-hmm. That would be very important. Other than that, like all the stuff that we talked about, all these things tonight are all stacking the cards in the deck of health in your favor. But for you, I'd really look into working my way into a serious water fast and getting healed. And I think you can just reset your body that way.
Because I do intermittent fasting. I don't eat breakfast. I vary it. So I'll eat sometimes earlier in the morning, or sometimes wait till noon, or all that. And I'd gone through a period where it had really helped, and then I kind of plateaued, and I backed off, and then came back to it. But I also found out I had an infected tooth probably for like 5 years, and got that taken care of this summer, and I lost like 10, 12 pounds, and I haven't even done anything different other than the health challenge.
So all of these things that you're bringing up with part of your health history would be big factors, like with any of us, if you were meeting with us. But they would be kind of dead giveaways. So anytime there's an oral health infection, any oral bacteria that cause infection travel easily and fast through the gum line into the blood, through swallowing, and through the GI tract. And typically, I'm trying not to get in the weeds here, but there's lots of different things that can cause. The human body is designed to be able to resist having parasitic infection and bacterial infection and yeast and fungal infection. But because we have high stress lives, because we don't slow down and digest our food properly, because we have taken a gazillion antibiotics or protein pump inhibitors to suppress acid blockers in the stomach and all the different things, it can mess with your body's hydrochloric acid potency, so that when those things do pass through, they're not being broken down and dismantled in the stomach, and then they're essentially inhabiting other areas and causing infections and causing problems. So if you have an infection in the mouth, if you even get a tinge of pink when you floss, you have an issue. And that oral bacteria like Porphyromonas and Agrobacter and all these different things will cause systemic inflammation everywhere else, including all the different arthritises, tendonitis, bursitis. Literally, a woman's ability to carry a baby to term with her cervix can get lax. I mean, there's a zillion different things that can happen, mental health, inflammation of the brain, blah, blah. But I think one of the things we didn't talk about that I think is so critical is digestion in general. And when you talk about the microvilli, if your time eating isn't in a state of calm and rested, and you're not chewing and slowing down and giving so all of these things matter. If you're not masticating your food enough to where it's like kind of baby food consistency before you swallow, then it enters the stomach in a state that is not small enough chyme. So then when it leaves the stomach, eventually, which will take longer, and the longer it's in the stomach because it's too large and not broken down, or because you're in a state of stress, so your digestive enzymes have been shut off or reduced, starting in the mouth and then in the stomach, or your hydrochloric acid potency is weak. All these things will create things like acid reflux, because Fats tend to go rancid because they're sitting in there too long. Carbohydrates start to ferment and bubble up. Proteins start to putrefy. But those things will enter through the stomach sphincter into the small intestine. And think about this. Think about a piece of steak that should turn into an amino acid in the stomach before it enters the small intestine, but it hasn't yet because it wasn't broken down properly. Then it will damage the microvilli, and it will literally make those nice little fine like hairs, like nubs. And when that happens, then you have malabsorption. So even though you're eating the most amazing nutritious food, you might not be nutrient rich, you might not be absorbing it well, you might be damaging the lining, and that damage can then create leaky gut. It can create an environment where the wrong bacteria thrive that aren't beneficial. So there's this long list of things. So part of health is slow down, calm down, breathe, get good breath work, be in a state of, I notice this even for myself. I have an hour for lunch, which is probably not a lot of people get that. And I notice even with that time, because I'm so used to rushing, I will catch myself rushing even when I have a whole hour to sit there and I have to have this self-talk. Slow down, chew the broccoli more than 3 times,
breathe. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to just be calm for a minute. You don't have to hurry. And so these are things that we have to work on from, I think, these are things that are free, that aren't supplements, that aren't food, that are just learn how to be present and be calm and let your body heal itself and do the right things.
Get back to the basics.
Yeah.
That's the best thing we can do. Simplify it all.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, I think we're out of time. We'll stay and visit with you guys. Those of you who still have questions about, we'll wrap it up with closing remarks from Nicole.
Sorry, I had these great notes and I wanted to say so many things in them, but something that really, really stuck out is it's not how long you live. It is totally how many years you want to have left and what the quality of those years you have left are. Because we've already lived. We're here. We're 38, we're 40, we're 50, however old we are. But we don't know how long we're going to be here. So how many years do you want to have left? Think about that when you make your choices going forward, guys.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a lot of information here and it can be overwhelming, but remember to take one thing at a time, focus on that one thing, because small habits lead to big change over time. And simple things. And some of the best things for our health are free. They're just things that come along with being human. And the blessing we have been given, the life we've been given. So love y'all. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. And thanks all everybody for joining us online. Love you guys. God bless y'all. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
The information provided in this show is intended for your general knowledge only and is not medical advice. If you have or suspect you have a specific medical condition or disease, please consult your healthcare provider. If your provider has a strong understanding of nutrition and holistic health, even better. The opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Nature's Pantry.